Good morning, everyone. So, today I want to take a few moments to remind you of the power of these four words. You are good enough. If you're struggling with this, you probably feel like you're not good enough to be in an awesome relationship, or you don't feel good enough to be in a relationship you're in. Maybe you don't feel good enough to take the next step in your career, get a promotion, or somehow you just don't feel like you deserve to be happy. There are times when it appears that life's sole purpose is to make us feel like we are not good enough, not attractive enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not successful enough, and definitely not deserving enough. And let's face it, we feel like we are deficient. We can feel like we couldn't possibly measure up to our own expectations or the expectations of others. And we feel like other people are so much better off in every possible way. But malicious thoughts invade our mind and they linger for a very long time. But people, these thoughts are a lie because we are enough. I want to share a very personal story with you and hope that my story will show you that you are special, you are unique, and you cannot be replaced. The 28th of April 2011, a date carved out in my brain forever. I remember this day as if it was yesterday. It was a gloomy Thursday evening, 9 o'clock, and I had reached my breaking point. I just had enough. But at this moment, a moment that changed me forever, I found the courage to finally leave a 13-year abusive relationship. Leaving is one of the toughest things I've ever done. See, my experience as a child were constantly living in fear. My dad was an abuser, and my mom, well, she was so depressed most days that even the slightest important words like, I love you, never left her lips. My entire existence in life was one of complete and utter chaos. Later in my life, being in love meant being in pain. I fell into a pattern of thoughts and behaviors which developed as a response to a loveless childhood. I found myself repeatedly drawn into unhappy and destructive relationships and then struggling to make those doomed relationships work. What I was left with was the aftermath of all these traumatic experiences. So I was completely and utterly exhausted from living in emotional pain and suffering for most of my life. I was at one of the lowest, deepest, darkest points in my life. I had no friendships. I never really learned how to forge good relationships and have been driving people away my entire life just to avoid being rejected. I had made some really bad choices in my personal life and struggled immensely with building relationships at work, which meant that I was self-sabotaging my career, my friendships, and the relationships with my colleagues. My personal brand was virtually non-existent. I was so ashamed of the person I became and for the mistakes I have made that I couldn't even look myself in the mirror anymore. I packed whatever I could fit in my car, which was not a lot, and drove away sobbing uncontrollably, music blasting, trying to dull out my pain. But I realized, contrary to popular belief, that leaving was the easy part. What followed that was the painful act of collecting the shattered fragments of my broken life, scattered on the floor, and then trying to put them back together to have some sort of resemblance of a normal life. I was like a zombie, living but dead inside. I felt nothing. The best way I can describe myself was that I felt as though I was a trapped soul roaming the earth in search of a person I used to be. Rock bottom. I kept telling myself that if I can just pick up the pieces when I'm down, I can do anything when I'm up. I was contemplating on what I could build with these broken pieces, perhaps something far greater than what I had before. Was it possible to use not only what today took away, but what yesterday provided? But see, I had a secret. A secret that I held on for so long that it eventually made me sick. I built walls so high around myself to cope and mask the pain of the secret. My secret was that I never felt good enough. I was blaming myself for not being likable, for not having friends, not being good enough for people to care. To feel good about myself, I started placing value and my own self-worth in things that didn't really matter. Things like what I look like, what type of clothes I was wearing, what kind of house I lived in, and what kind of cars I drove. I started to worry about what others thought of me. I would get up in the morning, put a fake smile on my face, wearing a mask, pretending to be someone I was not, because I just wanted to fit in. I thought that if I could just be like everyone else, then I wouldn't feel alone, when in fact I started feeling more alone than ever before. Once I found the perfect mask to hide behind, I continued to bury my pain and my secrets even deeper. That's when I started to fall prey to the question, why me? Why is this happening to me? I used to cry every time I saw my reflection in the mirror. So I figured, what the hell? I'm just going to stop looking. Every time I looked at my body, all I saw were flaws. All I saw were the stretch marks I despised, the scars I longed to cover, and the features I could never change. It hasn't been an easy journey, and I'll admit, sometimes it is very difficult to look at myself and see a person who is enough. So one day, I got out of bed, looked at myself in the mirror, and asked a simple question to myself. What was it that I was searching for? I felt like something was missing. I wanted to feel like there was a greater meaning and purpose to my life. Is this life I'm living enough? And if so, then why am I not enough? So I started to figure out what happiness meant to me. I started leaning into the discomfort of my thoughts, my feelings, and my emotions. A very scary picture. I started to have long, uncomfortable conversations with myself and others about who I am and how I got here. I realized the most important thing about happiness. It does not come from the outside. It's generated from within. It was about staying focused on my life, looking for what moves me and sparks my passion. It was about creating experiences of all different kinds, because that's what adds meaning to life. Finally, one day I reached a place of clarity. It wasn't that something had to give. It was someone, and that someone was me. It was as if someone had flipped a switch, and my world flipped along with it. I arrived at a sense of being after making just a few simple changes in my life. Doing so has led me down the road to tranquility, better connections with people in my life, and a healthier state of mind and body. So I want to share 3 valuable lessons that have helped me to learn and believe that I am truly enough. And it starts with forgiveness. When I realized I could ask and be forgiven for the mistakes I have made and the horrible things I have done not only to myself but to others, I started to feel whole again. Forgiveness might seem challenging, in part because it's often misunderstood, but in reality, forgiveness simply means choosing to let go of your anger, hurt, and a desire for vengeance. So forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness is not about letting yourself off the hook, nor is it a sign of weakness. It just means that you accept your behavior, you accept what has happened, and you are willing to move past it and move on with your life without dwelling over past events that you cannot change. And the second is trust. And I'm not just talking about trusting yourself and others, but actually trusting the process. Trusting whatever struggles you may be facing today could be leading you to something far greater than you could ever have imagined. If you want to reach your desired destination, you need to surrender to the process, no matter how difficult it is. When we allow life to reveal itself to us, we live in the present moment, knowing that we are exactly where we are supposed to be. Unfortunately, life and comfort don't coexist. In today's world, nothing is permanent, and at any moment, life could throw you a curveball that could change the game. When you trust the process, you accept and have faith in the unknown. And finally, the third is acceptance. If you take a walk from the North to the South Pole, at one point you have to go through the desert. Your friends will probably abandon you. Your family will tell you that you're crazy and the road is dangerous. You will burn during the day and freeze at night. You will be in pain, alone, and afraid. But the desert is part of the journey. The desert is on the map. There's no other way to get there. You must live through the pain. For me, it was accepting that even though I made countless mistakes in my life's journey, I no longer believe that I am a mistake. And that's what matters most. I discovered that I was happier and more peaceful when I accepted what had happened, instead of constantly fighting to change the past. Yes, acceptance is a choice. A hard one, most definitely, but a choice nonetheless. So in conclusion, I just want to tell you, you don't have to be more, or do more, or buy more to be who you truly are meant to be. You were enough before, you are enough now, and you will continue to be enough as you become more of who you were made to be. And believing that, when the world keeps whispering otherwise, is so brave. Not only are we enough, but there is an infinite beauty in who we are, in the things we have endured, in the things we have overcome, in the things we have struggled with, and in the things we have the privilege of looking back on with the perspective that today affords. I now want to share a video with you which really touched my heart, and I hope that for those who are struggling with their enoughness are motivated by this video like I was.
I am enough. But enough of what? Every time I hear those words, I feel like they keep getting stuck up in my head, conflicting with all the words that I've said to myself on repeat for most of my life. Yeah, I haven't been very nice to myself. Bottom to top, I spent most of my time focused on why I was not enough. Flat feet, too slow. Chicken legs won't grow. Like self-deprecation was an occupation, I went pro long ago. And I know that the mind learns through repetition. And no matter how quiet I speak, it's always around to listen. Creating the vision of who I am based on my self-talk. So why not speak what I can and stop all the can-nots? Because I got a lot of knots. I thought a lot of thoughts that brought a lot of nada, so I fought to make them stop. And I finally gave my ego what it wanted, and I told it what I am not. I am not dumb. I am not ugly. I am not giving up. I am not weak. I will get back on my feet no matter how much I slip up. I am not broken. I am not afraid. And so when the going gets tough, I can see what I am not, and it reminds me I am enough. I am enough strength to overcome any obstacle placed in my way. I am enough courage to keep my heart open after heartbreak. I am enough will to get through any hard day. I am enough fun to turn all my work into play. I am enough pride to not be torn down by what others say, and I am enough humility to own up to all my mistakes. And it doesn't take a special ability, just a perspective shift to go through this list and always remember this. For everything I'm not, there's something that I am. For everything I can't, there's something that I can. I can be happy. I can be free. I can be authentic. In fact, I'm already me. And I am so grateful and proud of me and everything I am. And so for the rest of my life, I will do whatever I can to remember that, yeah, I am not a lot of stuff, but there's one thing I am. I am enough.